In this problem, we're given three functions. F is a graph, G is a set of ordered pairs, and P is the function given as a table of values. And we're asked to find the domain and range of each. The first question says find the domain of f of x. Since f of x is a graph, and since the domain is always the set of all possible inputs, I'm going to look at the graph and see that there's 4 points here. And because I'm looking at domain, I only need to look at the 4 inputs to those 4 points. So for example, my first point, if I had to label its coordinates, would be 0 units in the x direction, so x is 0, and the y value is 4. So this point has coordinate 0, 4, but since I'm asked to find the domain, I'm going to say that 0 is the first x value I get. So to use proper notation, as it shows here, I need to start with a left curly bracket. On your keyboard, if you have trouble finding it, locate the letter P. Just to the right of the letter P in your keyboard, there's a bracket. Hold shift and do a left bracket, and because you held shift, you'll get a brace or a curly bracket there. And I said that my x value, my first point, is 0. And then I'm going to put comma. Just going in numerical order, the next point that I see to the right would be this one. Again, the domain concerns itself with inputs. So what is the input of that point? Look up here on the x-axis, that would be 3. So I'm going to type in 3, comma. My next point right here has an x value of 4. So 4, comma. And then my last point has x value of 5. And then since I'm done writing my domain, I'm going to do the same thing I did before, except use a right curly bracket to close that set off. Now the range of f is going through and doing the same thing I just did, except typing in the y values. If you want, just to keep organized, we'll start with the smallest y value, which is down here, and move our way up. So I'm going to start by doing a left curly bracket, and I'm going to start and say, in numerical order, the smallest y value I see would be this point right here. It has the lowest height. Its y value is negative 4 again, so I don't care this time about the x values. X is 3, but we're on range, so I care about the y value. The y value at this point is negative 4. The next highest point I see is right here. Its y value, if you move over here, is negative 1. Comma. The next highest point I see here, it's the point 5, comma 0. 0 is the output, so the height of the point. So I'm going to type in 0, comma. And then finally, my last point, 0, comma 4, has an output of 4. It's my highest y value. And then I'm going to close that set off. The domain of G is done the same way, except it's given as a set of ordered pairs. We call them ordered pairs because there's an intended order. The first coordinate of each point is always the input. Since I'm asked to find the domain, the first number in each of these points is going to be my answer. I just need to list them in numerical order. So for example, I'll type in left curly bracket, and I'll say my possible x values. There's only 4 points here, so there's 4 possible inputs to the function g. It's negative 7, negative 3, and then my third point has an x value of 1, and my last point has an x value of 5. So I just need to list these now. So I'm going to say that my x values are negative 7, then negative 3, and then we have 1, and then 5. And then the range is going to basically be the same thing, except the range concerns itself with the set of all outputs. So I'm going to do left curly bracket. And my range would be the y values of all these points, because the y values of the second coordinates always my output. So 5, 13, 9, and 17. So 5, 9 would be the next highest number. For some reason it's not typing. There we go. Have to click in the cell. 5. And then you might put 13, but I think it's probably better to put it in increasing from lowest to highest. So I'm going to do 5, comma 9, comma 13, comma 17. I'm not sure you'll get it right if you did it in a different order, but I'm going to do this just in case. Finally, my domain of P of t was given as a chart, and function notation is always such that whatever's in the parentheses is the input. And if I look at this function notation down here, my input is t because t is in the parentheses. So my top row t is my inputs, so those 4 numbers are going to be my domain. My bottom row P of t, that's function notation for the output of P, so these 4 numbers would be the range, so I need to just list them. So in the domain of P, I'm going to say left curly bracket. In numerical order, 24, 26, 28, and 30 are already in least to greatest order, or ascending order. So 24, 26, 28, and 30. And then finally my range is the same thing, except its range always is the set of all possible outputs. In numerical order, here's my outputs. There's 4 of them, the smallest of which is 30, and then 34, and then 42, and then 46. So I'll type in 42, 46. Don't forget to close off that set using proper set notation. And that's basically the domain and range of those 3.